Hey, what's up guys? Rocket welcoming you back to the channel, and today I got a special video for you guys going over all 31 NHL teams off-season moves. This will be split in a two-video series, the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. The link to the second video is in the description below. So I'm going to be going over one conference per video, going over each team's free agency signings, notable trades, first round draft pick, and give them an individual rating. Of course, I'm not going to go over any coach changes or re-signings, so strictly the additions or subtractions of the team. Leave comments down in the comments below with your thoughts and opinions on these moves as well. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. Gonna bring you guys some hockey and NHL related content all season long. Enjoy the video guys. Here we go with my opinions on the NHL off-season. Alright, starting off in the Atlantic Division, first up we have the Boston Bruins, notably adding 8 free agency, goaltender Yaroslav Halak, formerly from the New York Islanders, and defense John Moore from the New Jersey Devils. If we look at notable trades they did make, they parted ways with Adam McQuaid, going to the New York Rangers for Steven Kampfer, a 4th round pick in 2019, and conditional 7th round pick. If we're looking at the draft, they didn't have any picks in the first round of the 2018 draft. For overall team rating, I'm going to be giving them a B. They did lose McQuaid, although they got John Moore, kind of replaced McQuaid. Halak is a really good solid goaltender for backup to Karas. They already have a good goaltender into Karas, so they didn't add a lot, but I found that I added just enough what they needed. I feel like Boston Bruins still have a very strong team going into the season. Next up, we have the Buffalo Sabres, and of course, Buffalo Sabres, a big move picking Rasmus Dahlin, first overall in the 2018 NHL draft. Everybody knew Dahlin was going to be number 1. He is the top prospect in the world at the moment. Adding in free agency, goaltender Carter Hutton from the St. Louis Blues. Of course, no longer having Robin Lehner in net. Hutton is a really good goaltender, so feel like he's going to be solid in net for Buffalo. They did do some pretty big trades as well, sending over a conditional 4th round 2019 pick to Pittsburgh for Connor Sheary, Matt Hunwick. They did part ways with Ryan O'Reilly, sending him to St. Louis for Tage Thompson, Patrick Berglund, Vladimir Sobotka, 1st round 2019 and a 2nd round 2021 pick. They did send off Cliff Pugh, 2019 2nd round and 2020 3rd round for to Carolina to get Jeff Skinner. One of the big trades in offseason, Jeff Skinner joining the Buffalo Sabres. Gonna give them an A+. I mean, with the additions of Jeff Skinner, Rasmus Dahlin, Connor Sheary, Carter Hutton, they already got great players like Jack Eichel, and I feel the Buffalo Sabres have a pretty bright future with a lot of young talent on that team. Next up, we have the Detroit Red Wings, who had a great offseason as well, picking up Jonathan Bernier and Tomas Vanek in free agency. Didn't make any big trades, anything notable, although getting Philip Zadina and Joe Veleno, 30th pick they got from the Vegas Golden Knights. Philip Zadina is going to be a stud in the league, played for Halifax Mooseheads. Going to give the team rating an A for a really strong offseason. Florida Panthers are up next, adding in free agency, notably Troy Browder and Michael Hutchinson from Winnipeg. So it could be a solid backup for Roberto Luongo if needed. Notable trades, giving a few picks to San Jose, of course, for Mike Hoffman. So that was that big trade involving Ottawa, San Jose, and Florida. So Mike Hoffman is on the team. 1st round pick, picking Grigory Denisenko, 15 overall. Going to give the team a rating of a B. Next up in the Atlantic Division, the Montreal Canadiens, who made headlines all summer long, adding a few players in free agency, W. Wallet and Tomas Plekanec, who of course was with Canadiens for the whole career, went to Toronto for the end of last year in the playoff run and came back to Montreal for a 2018-2019 season. Now, a few big trades, obviously, Alex Galchenyuk to Arizona for Max Domi, Simon Book to Winnipeg for Steve Mason, Joel Armia, and a couple of picks. Now, Steve Mason, they no longer have, and of course, put him on waivers. Kirby Reichel was sent to Calgary for Hunter Shinkaruk. Max Pacioretty to the Vegas Golden Knights for Tomas Tatar, Nick Suzuki, 100-point guy in the juniors in the OHL, and a second-round pick. Tatar, great talented forward, great hands. Nick Suzuki, like I said, great prospects. Unfortunately, Pashretti, the captain, leaving the team after many years with the franchise. Also, Montreal's biggest acquisition, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, at 3rd overall in the draft. Very talented center. Looking forward to see him grow with the Montreal Canadiens. He's starting the year in Montreal. Gonna give the team a B. Really strong acquisitions such as Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Tatar. I just feel like losing Galchenyuk and Pashretti is still a big blow to the team. Next up, we have the Ottawa Senators. Of course, the Ottawa Senators making headlines with that huge trade sending Erik Karlsson to the Sharks. Going to be talking a bit more about that trade when I get to San Jose. Ottawa notably adding Paul Carey in free agency, of course, part of that big trade with Mike Hoffman, the Sharks, and the Panthers, eventually getting Mikhail Bodker. And getting Brady Tkachuk, 4th overall, who's going to be a great player in the league. Of course, brother of Matthew Tkachuk and son of Keith Tkachuk, formerly in NHL. And they also got Jacob Bernard Docker, 26 from Boston, New York Rangers. Eventually, that pick went to Ottawa. Overall team rating, give them a C+. A really a tough off-season for Ottawa, obviously losing Karlsson. Although getting Brady Tkachuk gives a lot of hope for the franchise moving forward in the next years. Tampa Bay Lightning, my prediction to win the Atlantic Division title this year. Now, they really didn't make any moves, anything notable apart from bringing back Peter Budaj, who was formerly with the Lightning, for Andy Andreoff. So they didn't have any first-round pick. No notable ads really in free agency that stood out. Peter Budaj, I find, is a really good move. Giving Andrei Vasilevskiy some room to rest if needed during the year, not have such a heavy workload, which I find last year Vasilevskiy did have fatigue at the end of the year. It seemed he kind of slowed down. Having a really solid backup in Budaj is definitely going to stronger the goaltending position in Tampa Bay. Going to give them an overall rating of a C. Just they didn't really make anything else to improve the team, but Budaj, like I said, is going to be a really good backup. Now, Toronto Maple Leafs, right off the bat, this team is getting an A+. John Tavares, the biggest free agent signing of the league. I would give Toronto either 2nd or 3rd in the Atlantic. They might even win the Atlantic, the team they have. Also getting Malcolm Subban, Tyler Ennis, Matt Martin, no longer the team, over to the New York Islanders, and getting Rasmus Sandin, 29th overall in the first round. Toronto, really scary offense over there for this year. Now, going into the Metropolitan Division, the 2nd division of the Eastern Conference, starting off with the Carolina Hurricanes, who has had some pretty big changes in the team, adding Peter Mrazek and Calvin DeHaan in free agency. Of course, they had that big trade with Buffalo acquiring Cliff Pugh and picks, sending off Jeff Skinner to the Sabres. Noah Hannafin and Elias Lindholm off to Calgary, and they got Dougie Hamilton, Michael Furlan, and Adam Fox. Getting Andrei Svechnikov, 2nd overall in the 2018 draft. Svechnikov is going to be really good in the league. Unfortunately, they did lose a lot, Hannafin, Lindholm, and Skinner. But I find that Svechnikov is going to give them a lot of hope moving forward for their forward position, giving them a B overall for the offseason. Next up, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets, who didn't make any big moves other than adding Riley Nash and Anthony Duclair in free agency. No notable trades, adding Liam Footy, 18th overall in the first round. Gonna give them a B-. I find it could have added a bit more, although they already have a really strong team, players notably such as Panarin and Bobrovsky over there. Next up, the New Jersey Devils, adding Eric Gryba in free agency and Ty Smith in the first round, 17th overall, were really the only two big moves that stood out for the New Jersey Devils. So not a lot there. They do have the reigning Hart Trophy winner in Taylor Hall. Really solid team. Still going to give them a B-. They didn't do a lot of big changes in the offseason. Next up, the New York Islanders, and obviously John Tavares, losing him was a big blow to the team. Going over to Toronto, adding Leo Komarov, Valtteri Filppula, Robin Leonard, and Tom Kuhnhackl in free agency. The only notable trade it could find, of course, acquiring Matt Martin, which brings a lot of toughness. From the Toronto Maple Leafs for Eamon McAdam, first round picks Oliver Wahlstrom, Now, first round picks, Oliver Wahlstrom and Noah Dobson, 11th and 10th overall, back-to-back picks. Gonna give them a B minus. They did lose a lot, although the future does look bright with players like Barzell. Of course, the draft picks they had, Beauvillier, all those guys are gonna be really good players for years in the NHL. Heading over to the other New York team, New York Rangers. No notable free agency ads. In regards to trades, of course, acquiring Adam McQuaid for Kampfer and some picks from the Boston Bruins. Adam McQuaid, one of the toughest defensemen you can find in the league. First round pick, getting Vitaly Kravtsov, number 9. Keandre Miller, 22nd. And Nels Lundqvist, 28. So they had 3 picks in the first round. Gonna give them an A minus. They got McQuaid and they got some really good prospects. So I find those are really strong additions for the New York Rangers. Next up, we had the Philadelphia Flyers, who had a big bomb in the free agency, adding James Van Riemsdyk, returning to the Philadelphia Flyers for a second stint with the team. No notable trades. First round pick Joel Farabee, 14th overall, and Jay O'Brien, 19. Gonna give them an A just because of how good James Van Riemsdyk is gonna be with that team. Of course, if you pair him up with good players like Giroux, if you pair him up with Giroux Voracek, it's gonna be sick to watch. Next up, my pick for the division winners, the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think that the Penguins are going to have a really strong year once again. Obviously, with that trio of Crosby, Malkin, and Kessel, they're always dangerous. Matt Murray really solid in net. And free agency, they did add a defenseman, Jack Johnson, and Matt Cullen returning to the team. Notable trades, they did lose Connor Sheary, Matt Hunwick to Buffalo for a pick. No picks in the first round. I'm going to give them a B minus for the overall offseason. Of course, the Penguins have such a strong team. They don't need to add a lot. Matt Cullen brings a lot of veteran leadership to the team, and Jack Johnson for the defense. And last but not least, in the Metro, we have the reigning Stanley Cup champions, the Washington Capitals. Now, this is interesting. They traded Philip Grubauer and Brooks Orpik to Colorado for a draft pick. Orpik was put on waivers by Colorado, and what did Washington do? Pick him right back up. Orpik is technically returning to the Washington Capitals, even though he didn't play a game with Colorado. No first round pick. I'm going to give the team a B minus. So, of course, bringing back Orpik, they lost Grubauer as a backup. Holtby, we know he's one of the better goaltenders in the NHL, so they're going to rely on him to get most of the workload. And that's going to be it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. As always, have a great day.